and I want to thank everyone for joining today. I'm Beverly Geiger, and I'm one of the leaders here at MicroStrategies. My focus is helping clients achieve their business goals by leveraging technology. This is especially important for me today as we work with clients navigating through this crisis and the challenges that they're experiencing. I'll be working with the panelists here today, and I thank them especially as well because they're taking their time out from helping our clients to kind of walk through everything with you today. First, I would like to start by asking each one of my practice leads, for each one of you to tell a little bit about yourself and what drives you and your practice. So I'll start with you, Juan.
Sure. Thank you. So our practice, the things that drive us is really about finding answers to the questions, the business and operational questions that our customers have. We're very passionate about doing that, and specifically providing visibility into whether it is the business challenges that they're facing or opportunities, the operating systems that support delivering that business value to their customers, and the infrastructures that we're using. So visibility into all of the things that contribute to a business's inner workings. Those are really the things that we thrive on and we really enjoy working on.
So I'll move to Adam. How about yourself, Adam? Tell me a little bit about what you're all about and what's driving you in your practice.
Sure, great. Thanks, Beverly. Well, business process and content services, we're all about document management, workflow process, that kind of stuff. What gets us excited is really making things, quite frankly, better, faster, stronger. I know that sounds interesting, but, when we get involved in projects, it's usually because things aren't moving the way they need to move. People aren't getting the value they need to get out of what's going on. And we really get excited about being a part of that, helping clients dive into those issues, and of course, coming up with those answers, making things better for them, adding value, if you will. And right now, considering this current environment, doing it quickly is the biggest thing going on right now. Because right now, it's not a matter of, hey, let's do a business process analysis for 3 months. No. Now it's about what's the problem, how do we get to the end game, get you there fast, add the value, move to the next situation. So that's what really gets us excited. It's making that difference, making things better, and being a part, partnering with the clients. We've been, like you heard, we've been doing this in this group for a whole lot of years, and that's what really gets us excited. It's working with the clients and solving those problems.
Good afternoon, everyone. This is Bob Claybrook. As Kelly said earlier, been in technology for several years. What my current focus is around the hybrid practice, it's really about just-in-time compute, especially in the days that we're talking about right now, delivering compute in many different facets to our customers, clients, and keeping everybody safe out there. So again, from a cloud technology perspective, really focused on public and private cloud on-premise, and really delivering compute in a efficient and with elastic capability. So, Mark, you want to?
Sure. Thanks, Bob. So yeah, running the managed services team, I love making sure we're helping our customers, right? Getting a satisfaction rating high and always on top of it, right? But more importantly is addressing the customer's issues and before they even know there was an issue. It's about managed services, proactive management. But again, working with all the team members and all the practice groups you just heard of, working with them very, very closely around the solutions they offer and wrapping around a solution for ongoing services for each one of those projects that they do. So ongoing service and, just making sure everybody's on the same page and keep proactive with what the current status is of their projects.
Thank you, gentlemen. I appreciate just giving everybody that insight. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to ask the first question. The COVID-19 pandemic is spreading at an extraordinary speed. Clients are doing all they can to keep their people safe, stay on top of their businesses, and deal with uncertainty amid constantly changing conditions. What are the biggest challenges organizations are experiencing today?
Adam, you want to take that?
Sure. I mean, if you think about it, we're all remote now. So guess what happens? Collaboration, not the same as it used to be. So, you know, in our world, the BPCS world, it's all about getting clients able to collaborate with each other, with their partners, with everybody, and having those business processes work a lot smoother. I mean, we enjoy doing what we do in BPCS, you know, getting those processes going. But as you heard Mark say, once we're done with these business processes, it takes a WAN group, if you will, to turn our, and bring that data together. All right. And when I do my solutions, we do our BPCS solutions, it's Mark's group that's pulling that back end together to make sure everything continues to work smooth. And the same goes for Bob. I mean, my man Bob is worried about making sure that where we put these solutions is going to be fast, smooth, easy, and great uptime. So when you hear us talk about working together, you think about what a solution is involved with, especially on BPCS. I count on all three of those guys because that's the three of and us together is what makes the solution work.
That's a good point, Adam. You know, one of the biggest challenges, and I'm going to, you know, tie into Bob a little bit in a second, was for a lot of our customers was just having the remote accessibility for a lot of different reasons. One, maybe not having the proper amount of licenses for access. Maybe they didn't have the right equipment, or, you know, maybe they didn't have, you know, the resources on the back end. So leveraging, you know, Bob, you know, to get our customers the resources they need, the licenses they needed, to get them ramped up quickly. That was a key thing that we needed to do for our customers.
Yeah, I think to Mark and Adam's points, I think really I like to start with safety of the associates that are out there, and then, as Mark said, delivering the desktop capabilities and making sure that everyone's connected. So whether it's via phone or desktop or collaboration tools such as Teams, just making sure that everyone's connected, and then having your stand-ups or your touch bases on a very frequent basis to get everyone in the groove, so to speak, in such a you know, a catastrophic event as we're going through now.
So I think we might talk a little bit more about this later, but as Adam was talking about, we have these established business processes that are supporting the way we have been doing business for a long time. And one of the critical items that Adam and team do is that in times like these, where we hear from our clients that their normal business model is being challenged. Their normal business operations are being challenged. Adam and his team, they're extremely helpful in these times to be able to very quickly adjust to the new reality, or to perhaps the reality of right now, be able to use the data that our teams are gaining visibility to in behalf of our customers, and actually adjusting their processes now, because those challenges are now and not something that's going to happen in 3 months.
Yeah, now you can't forget the last part, Juan. I mean, at the end of the day, we do build these processes, we do make them faster, but understanding what's going on in those processes, the analytics behind those processes, that's a critical piece of this as well. People are looking at what they're doing and how they're doing it and trying to figure out how to do it better, faster, and easier given these times. And that's what I count on Juan for from an analytics side. We build these processes to get things going, but people want to understand, how are these processes going? Where are my bottlenecks? What's going on? What's not going on? All right. And these kind of, and that's where I count on Juan for, is understanding the processes and visualizing what's going on to help the clients make better decisions. I mean, that's what it's all about. You got the process. And of course, what is that process coming to? All right. What's happening with it? That kind of thing.
Yeah. And you know, the thing, it really comes back to our clients, and the conversations we have with our clients are really about there's value that they have been delivering to their customers, and that value is right now at risk, whether it is because they are heavily reliant on physical locations to deliver that value, or it has changed in some way. And the important piece is, if you will, what we bring to the table and how we engage with them is in being able to understand the shifts that they're experiencing and be able to take action on those shifts to be able to get back to serving their customers as, you know, whatever the new reality might demand, or however the new reality might demand.
And to your point, is patterns change, right? So with this obviously significant event, patterns are changing, understanding those moving forward. What might be the new normal?
Yeah, that's true.
Oh, so go ahead, Ann.
No, I was about to say, you know, I also got to make sure we talk about, you know, the value added on Bob's side with the hybrid IT group. Because, you know, I've got clients that all of a sudden their processes are strained. You know, their infrastructure is strained. And, you know, I count on Bob and his team to take a look at the situation. Sometimes it's not a matter of even changing the processes. What are the processes sitting on? You know what I'm saying? What is the equipment? What are the pieces they're working on? And I count on, you know, Bob and Mark to take a look at that stuff behind the scenes. Maybe the process is working great. Maybe it's a matter of the infrastructure they're sitting on. And it's Bob's team that we count on to make sure that's going well as well. I mean, to make sure that the value is not just of the process, but the value of the investment of the infrastructure is there as well. Am I getting that value out of the situation? That's
Mark, yeah, I'm sorry. So Mark, we were chatting over the last few days, weeks. We were chatting about a more tangible situation, a very tangible situation about customers actually getting to work, actually having their people enabled. So that's a very real challenge. Without the work that you guys do, they couldn't work.
That's very true. And you know, to Adam's point, your point, you know, we immediately, obviously we do managed services, so we're monitoring their whole environment. You immediately saw this spike in utilization across the systems, which required the hybrid IT team to start spooling up additional resources, right? Make sure that we can handle that workload. You know, there's other things that were brought into effect, like maybe they didn't have workstations. Maybe they had iPads. It wasn't a good scenario of working environment.
Yeah.
And leveraging, you know, hybrid IT with the virtual desktop environments, that's key. That's key. I mean, you kept on saying the new normal or normal, what's going to be. It's interesting what that's going to look like. But, you know, from what I hear, you know, to kind of go along with that, it sounds like there's going to be a lot more of that when we get back to whatever that new normal is. It's going to be a lot more of that understanding, working remote, you know, having that remote capability. You know, so Bob, I don't know if you want to touch on that at all, but that is something I'm seeing a lot of right now from our customers.
Well, no, I think that, you know, getting into the virtual desktops and things and providing a secure environment for the associates to be able to talk and communicate, extremely important. You know, so and as you said, having that elastic capacity, capability to spin those things up, so folks aren't searching for things and making it easier for them. So,
gentlemen, I do just want to jump in here real quick. We did have a question come in. What industry are you seeing impacted the most, and how are you helping them?
I'll take it first, and you guys can jump in. So, you know, the vertical that we have a lot of is legal. So legal did a lot. You know, they did a lot with you know, business continuity and disaster recovery. You know, and we helped them quite a bit. Some with our managed services, some with our ongoing, you know, operational customers. But they anticipated that only a handful of their users were going to be in a disaster recovery scenario. Their key people were going to be in that disaster. When they flipped over, when they moved over to that system, a percentage of the customers or their users are going to be in there. What they realize is everybody can be in there. Everybody should be in there. They can work remotely. There's reasons to do that, and there are capabilities of doing that. That's when, to Juan's point and Bob's, you know, had to start leveraging, hey guys, we need to spool a lot more infrastructure. We need to get this in place for them because this is what they're going to need. So in my world right now, what I'm seeing is that and manufacturing too. You know, how are they accessing their environment to keep that working? Because in a lot of manufacturing, it's not essential, just like the legal, right, where they have to work from home. So,
you know, Mark, as you bring up manufacturing, I'm thinking about one of our customers. of course, there's an impact to their manufacturing process, but they still own and support and manage the machinery that they have created. And one of the key aspects of helping them is continuing to monitor and being aware of those pieces of equipment that are out in the field throughout the country, coordinating the service needs for those. So again, it goes back to visibility of the operations that you're running today, visibility into the changes in supply and demand. So manufacturing is definitely an area that we're heavily involved in. The other one that comes to mind is insurance. And Adam, there's a number of things that we're working with your team to, one, help our customers understand how the behavior of employees is changing. And from there, identify new bottlenecks that are created by a new way of interaction. So, perhaps claims and claim status checks are things that are spiking differently so than what they had planned or forecasted for. So keeping an eye on those things and being able to remediate the process issues that come up from those.
Yeah, because you don't have, believe it or not, there's still people driving on the road, and you've still got situations where you've got claims going on of all kinds, and going to your local agent, not really an option anymore. There's a lot more of that remote collaboration. A lot of people who used to use their smartphones to take vacation pictures are now taking pictures of their claims, getting them in, handling that workflow process. There's a lot of things that people thought were sort of state-of-the-art bleeding edge stuff that's now business unusual is now the new usual. I'm like, that's it. I'm like, at the end of the day, people have got to do things differently. And part of what we're trying to do between our 4 practices is help them get there. You know what I'm saying? Help them deal with things they didn't normally deal with.
So Adam,
to that.
Oh, I'm sorry, Beverly.
No, I was going to say, Adam, to that, because what I wanted to do was ask you guys, we talked about a lot of challenges that people are having. We talked about business processes. We talked about visibility, remote access, providing value to clients. One of the things that I think a lot of folks want to know are, what are immediate actions they can take today that are going to impact their business very quickly versus some of these long-term projects? As you listen to some of this stuff, when you talk about business process reengineering and things, to them, a lot of people might think that might be a while. So I just want to go around really quickly, and if you guys can each kind of share, what's a really immediate impact that they can do today from each one of your areas that you would suggest they take.
I'll start. This is Bob. I would say, I'm talking about days. So I think I said some of this earlier, but just making sure your associates are connected, right? And you're communicating with them on a regular basis, and then spinning up the desktops and getting that availability to them. That's not a long-term thing. Those are things we can spin up on the cloud in hours or days with existing environments. So.
Yeah, I'll go from Bob. The collaboration piece, it was front and center. Obviously, that is key to keep all your employees in check, right? So that was I'm going to say number one, maybe number two. Number one was getting connected, right? But number three, you really need to think about this. We get connected, we're talking, we're collaborating. It's security. Make sure, and what I'm seeing a lot of our customers asking for immediately is another layer of that security, like a multi-factor authentication, if you will, right? And you VPN in, that's great, but something like that.
Thank you, Mark. How about you, Adam? What are you thinking of when you talk about business process and you talk about all the work that you do there? What would you say are immediate things people could do to improve their business processes?
Sure. The biggest thing I don't want people to do is hide in email. All right. Just because now we're going to go off and we're remote, people think email is the answer to do all that stuff. That's not the funnest communication tool on the planet. Please, when we talk about collaboration, don't be afraid to take that next step in doing that collaboration. Okay. And not just say, I'll send emails out all day long. I mean, that's one of the things we've seen. We've seen a couple of clients where, you know, we've had to deal with the fact where they went remote and all of a sudden flying emails all the place. I'm like, no, there's better ways to collaborate. Look around you. There are better ways to collaborate. Share the documents, share the knowledge. How about something like this, a video conference? But don't bury the transaction with your fellow employees in email. That's the big thing I'll say.
Hey guys, I want to take a side step here. Joseph asked a question: how we see micro helping in the new normal with our clients. I mean, just based on what's happened in the first few weeks, we're seeing us being much more connected on a day in, day out basis. You know, obviously in the hybrid practice, providing services and capacity. You know, moving around. We've talked about the analytics pieces, where the business is going, what the new streams are from an analytics side with Juan. From Adam's perspective, being able to set up processes and you know, be able to manage new processes digitally. And then obviously from Mark's perspective, helping them operate. There are staffing changes that are occurring. You know, we talked about a lot of the technology, a lot of the cloud capacity and things like that, elastic capacity. So with all those shifts, I think we're going to be much closer to our clients going forward in all aspects of the business. Hopefully that answers your question.
So, you know, I don't know if Juan, if you had anything about an immediate impact from your side when you're talking about visualization. A lot of folks are looking at, you know, supply chain, they're looking at customer engagement. So what would you say from, you know, what could be an immediate impact from your part of the organization that you would have people, what action should they take?
I think it's about questioning the traditional approaches at measuring the business that we've been using for a long time, the traditional approaches to leverage data. The traditional approaches we have been using for a long time do not support the shifts and the changes. We need access to, or quick access to data that is generated from systems that perhaps are outside of those, or processes that we've had running to support our normal operations have changed. Again, going back to the idea of physical locations, maybe you distributed your product to those physical locations, but now your online presence is taking, it's going for perhaps 20, 30, 40%, less than 50% of your business. And it's increasing beyond that, perhaps in some cases to 100% of your revenues. The typical processes we have been using do not necessarily answer the questions we should be asking today. So looking for ways to quickly get enough data and not falling in the trap that you need vast amounts of data to be able to make decisions, having the right amount of data, which those are specifically the areas where I think there's a trap that we need to be cautious with.
Okay.
We did have another question come in. Sorry, Bev.
Okay. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
The question is, all this seems internally focused to our organization. How do we better focus on supply, demand, customers, and market?
Well, and I think that's the conversation about around how we've been engaging with our customers. Our clients are experiencing changes. And these changes are affecting the way they interact with their customers. So they're coming in different channels. They're interacting differently with us. They are shopping differently, perhaps. And the way that we support them is also changing. What I was trying to allude to before is that we have established processes to see how things have been, but we need to be nimble in understanding how these changes that are affecting all companies right now, how they're affecting our ability to continue to deliver services to those customers.
Yeah, and I think we had a couple, I should say, a couple of regional financial firms who are more where people go to the branch, okay, and do their pieces of work and so forth. Those branches are closed. You know, those branches are either closed or just a drive-through kiosk. A lot more focused on, you know, diving by tech side, image capture, and how do we help them deal with that? So, you know, big changes, whereas before it was deliver stuff. Now it's a matter of how do I get it from so-and-so's house, you know, into that regional financial firm. So we've had some fire drills, right, to keep our clients rolling, and we react to those fire drills. It's like, hey, Adam, I still have to do business. This is the way my business is going. How can you help me? And between the four of us, we react to those fire drills, all right? Increase the amount of certain pieces.
Yeah, and I think, Adam, it's really about bootstrapping our clients' process and ultimately handing it off to them, giving them the capabilities that we work with, and giving them the capacity to address that spike in an area that was different. So it's really
help them fish. Help them fish.
Reacting. I was going to say something you said earlier. Reacting quickly and providing the capability and getting the answers, right? So understand where you need to be, get the data together as you said, and respond and understand what's happening. So and having that capacity or the compute, whatever you want to call it, to be able to make those decisions.
Thank you, guys. So another thing that as I'm listening to you, and you are talking about challenges and things, can you all share what are organizations not seeing today? What do you see that are some blind spots that maybe we're seeing that clients are experiencing that we want to share with the broader audience here?
This is Bob. Just to start, I think it's many of the things we just said. I think where customer patterns are changing, understanding what that new normal is. I also think that the operating costs, you know, from all the capacity that we're utilizing that we haven't done in the past, they're probably not the proper controls or expense management processes. So I think there's going to be some new expenses coming out of it. I also think there are client behavior, or customer behaviors that there's new patterns that we don't have processes set up to monitor. So those are probably the two areas that I see a focus on, or needs to be a focus on right now.
Yeah, because people reacting so quickly, they're starting to do things. We have to help them keep an eye on those expenses, keep an eye on those pieces. Some people are reacting almost too quickly, if you will. You know what I'm saying? And there's going to be repercussions, and part of our job is to help them see what's going to happen by virtue of those decisions and understand the impact of those decisions. Sorry, Mark.
No, that was perfect, actually. So, you know, obviously with these new spool up the resources, whatever it may be, a lot of this, as we're all seeing, it's moving to a SaaS or cloud-based solution, right, to make that access happen. One thing that, you know, the blind spot, if you will, is, and again, I'm harping on it, is security. You know, maybe you're locking it down via region, via country, you know, to make sure your users are accessing the right location or coming from the right location. You know, security is forefront and center, should be, but it might be a blind spot because all they're worried about is jumping in and making their business function again. We're here at Advantage Services and as a combined team effort to make sure they're also being very secure in the process of making it happen.
We have another question from the audience, and before I ask it, I just want to remind all of our guests, we invite you to come off mute and really join the conversation. If you have something to say, if you have a question for one of our panelists, you know, please feel free to jump in. The question we got is, what biases or assumptions are you seeing from clients?
Go ahead, Juan. You know you want to talk. Go ahead, Juan. I see in your eyes, Juan.
Well, my world kind of fills up with biases sometimes. I think the biggest challenge is the increased pressure on the system, right? So companies have known for a long time that it has been time to innovate. The challenge right now is that there isn't an option to not innovate. There isn't the traditional businesses we have been in are being directly challenged. So the biases we go in with is we have the right system, we have the right data, we have all the data that we need, or we're going to need to collect so much data to be able to even make those decisions. I think in one of the conversations we're having with our customers, it's really about a shift in the framework in how we think about it. We need to gather enough data to understand the current state, understand where we are. We need to make decisions on that data and take some actions that then we can quickly measure. So take that down to now our business is shifting online. How does our marketing initiatives, how do our marketing initiatives get launched? How do we measure those initiatives and quickly inform the next initiatives that we're going to launch tomorrow? And the speed of those has also increased, and the way in which we need to measure them has increased. So being open to this cyclical and this loop of decision making, and being okay with not having all the data to make those decisions is critical in the space. But it touches everything else that Bob was talking about. You're going to launch a number of capabilities on the cloud. Yes, you're going to get hit with a bill. How are you going to react to those things?
I would go back and make it simpler. I think the biases or the assumptions, everyone's trying to get back to what business was, rather than moving forward and understanding what the new normal is. So rather than focus on the past, let's take the positives that we've learned and get going, right? I think that, so those biases are the way business was done, I think, and the assumptions. They assume that things are going to get back to whatever the normal was previously, as opposed to
that could be a challenge, right? I'm sorry, Bob. That could be a challenge, right? Because we know of plenty of businesses, love them dearly, that think everything's going to be back to normal. It's just a temporary thing, but things are really changing. And how are you thinking about the future and what that future is going to look like? I think that's it's a new normal, if you will.
I think one of the things is we, on our side, we're just really quick, we talk about biases. I think it's also, this is different for everybody. Nobody in this call or around has been through something like this. Don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to say what is going on. I mean, that is a big deal. We've got some clients we've had for years that we actually reached out to, and they're, I don't want to say in a panic, but they don't know what to do. I got news for you. There's no playbook for this. Okay, we're going to do this together, all of us. But don't be afraid to ask for help. Seek out some of the objectives and some of your best practice people, like the guys in this call. But don't be afraid not to know stuff. This is new for everybody. You know what I'm saying? Let's all ask each other questions on how we get through this and keep business going.
We did have another question come in.
Okay.
Bev, would you like me to ask it, or did you want to move on?
Yeah. You can, you could. If there's one from the audience, let's definitely take it from the audience, yes.
Okay, perfect. What did innovation mean pre-COVID-19, and what does innovation mean now?
Yeah, and I was going to add to that too, because, and because we talked about, this is a shock. The way that we're operating now is a shock to not only to customer behaviors, but to business models. So, right. So I was just going to ask that same thing, is that, so what does innovation mean now, and how do we speed it up now relative to these times?
What I'll say on our side is, I don't know if innovation necessarily changes, but I also think people need to break apart the processes and get some of these small pieces done quicker. Okay. This is not a time for 3-4 month analysis projects. Okay. So I think the biggest thing, it's not so much as innovation is different, it's smaller, and that's not bad, because you need to get quicker time to value now. All right. This is not a time to buy conference rooms and set up war rooms. This is time to act. You know what I'm saying? So it's a matter of that smaller innovation pieces and getting that value quicker. Sorry, Bob.
Yeah, I was going to say, to all your points, it's very incremental, and spinning that capacity up as you need it, then get moving, versus the big project. So I think that to answer your question, Bev, to me, it's the time to delivery, right? The expectation is now, not next week. And I think all of us sitting here, might be a little bit calmer now, but a few weeks ago, it was hour by hour. Now I think we're back to week by week. Hopefully we get out a few months, but the innovation needs to be quick and very incremental.
Yep. Yeah, I agree with that.
And also high value to the clients, right? Exactly. Right.
Well, it's about the time that it takes to realize the value. And I really like the comment that Joseph made in the chat, which is the businesses that are out there, they may go out of business on this new normal, and new businesses will be created. And I really appreciate that. That is extremely insightful. And now what I would add is new businesses can and should be created within existing businesses. And the way to do that is to stay abreast of these changes and continue to add that incremental value in again, innovating with these new behaviors in mind. How are we creating value? How are companies profiting from that value? And how do they deliver it to the customers? How do their operations support it? That is definitely going to create new business models. But again, should be done within our existing companies.
Yeah, so I think to that point, so how, as organizations are starting to reinvent themselves and knowing they have to operate in this new, paradigm, how are we able to help them do that? How do we help them think out of the box and really discover these new areas that they can invest in and focus on to deliver more value for their clients?
Well, I think it's really a matter of the value we have provide, but again, in those shorter sprints or spurts, if you will. It's a matter of looking at what they're doing, breaking it down to shorter value add. Again, quicker time to value. That's what we got to give them. Our objective is to help the client get there faster, that value chain, all right? We want to make it not so wide. We want to make it a little more narrow and get there quicker. Don't be afraid of small, quick hits. You hear that phrase, right? Quick hits. This whole situation is about quick hits.
Yep.
Let's get quick hits, more value, more value. Let's not be afraid to take a bunch of small steps. That's how we're going to get through this, okay? Not a big bang, a bunch of small steps. And that's what our jobs are, is to help you guys get through those small steps. Break it down, put it together, and make it happen. That's the idea.
Yeah, you're right, Adam. And that's what we've been seeing now for the past couple of weeks. It's quick, easy, and they get a lot of value out of it.
Now the thing is, what's important in that thought process, right? We have to be fast. We have to be fast at delivering that value. At the same time, we need to be okay with testing things quickly and deciding to continue to invest into something. Like, for example, if you're launching a new set of program, a new membership service, a new product, or a new way of packaging what you were already doing, totally okay to do it quickly, measure it, and be okay with changing it, abandoning it if it's not performing, continuing to move on to the things that are more profitable. The ability to be flexible in your decision making, it's critical.
Don't be afraid of faster decisions. Don't be afraid of those.
Hey, thank you guys. I know we've got like 3 minutes left. I'm going to ask you each one follow thing here before we kind of wrap up. If you had one aspect of your business or one focus area that you want to leave the folks on the phone with, what would that focus area be, or what would you say to them as you talk about your practice?
See, we couldn't stop talking. Now we're all stopped talking. You couldn't shut us off.
One focus there that you would like to leave the audience with.
Really quick for me, guys, don't be afraid of collaboration. Please don't bury yourselves in email. That's what I'm begging you. Try to collaborate more. You got to get closer to your clients, closer to your employees and closer to your partners. That's what we have to do. That's what you guys got to do.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I agree with the collaboration piece. Again, is just, you know, for my practice in particular, I love just being able to resolve these customer issues and the new ones coming out as quick as possible, and make sure that, you know, if there's any issues do arise, that they're addressed before they even know about them. You know, that's what the whole point of managed services is, and managing every one of you, all your solutions that we're providing to these customers.
Thank you, Mark. So Bob and Juan, why don't we end with you guys, and then we'll pass it back to Kelly. If you guys can just share one thing that you want to leave the audience with. Sure.
Thank you. To me, this is very important. It is very important to keep our businesses going. It is very important to support our partners and support our clients. And it is an existential question. And in order to do that, which benefits all of us, really use us to bootstrap those processes, those questions that need to be asked, getting access to your data, and enabling you to embark in these questions of where does my business need to go? What are the changes we need to put into place? So use this as a capability and resource. Partner with us so that we can may help you do that.
Let us be an extension. Let us be an extension of you. Yeah.
I don't know if you guys saw Joe James' question down there, but that's really key too, to keep as many businesses in business as possible. And that is what we're doing on a daily basis, is reaching out to every one of our clients, asking if there's anything that we can do for them. Are they working? Is there anything outside the norm? And when it is something additional, it's reaching out to the team, the teams on this WebEx, and coming up with a solution to quickly turn them around and get them, you know, functioning again.
I think Bob is having some connectivity problems, maybe. Are you there? Are you okay? Can you talk, or can I try to play Bob?
I
want to see that. Wait, do we have an option to see that? Wait a minute. Juan do Bob? Wait a minute.
if you can hear me, my suggestions are cloud tech running everywhere, you know, including on-prem. I've said it several times. Virtual desktops provide the access and the flexibility and the security that we need to stay connected. And then I think just business continuity, you know, we talk about new normals. I mean, I think that we have to be more with fragility, I guess. And for me, it's all about business continuity. It's having everything available everywhere all the time. So that's what I would leave it with. Hopefully you heard all of that.
Yes, I did. Thank you. Thank you, Bob. We appreciate it. Yep. So it's 3:46. I'm going to hand it back over to Kelly, and unless there's any other questions that we want to pose, but I'm respecting the time here.
Yeah, I don't see any other questions. We do want to thank everybody for joining us today. These live webcasts have really been a great opportunity for us to be able to connect with you guys, and we hope you feel the same way. Bev, thanks for joining us again today to facilitate another, great conversation. And then to our panelists, Juan, Mark, Bob, Adam, thank you so much. I know we really do appreciate it. Everybody stay safe, stay healthy, and hopefully you can join us for another one of our live webcasts. We have another one this Friday focused on HR. Have a good rest of your day. Bye.
Thanks, everybody. Take care, everybody. Be safe.